everybody. Welcome to The World This Week. Pressure on Putin at the G20 summit in Brisbane, following fresh reports of Russian troops pouring into eastern Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State initiates an emergency summit in Jordan to try to calm down the violence in Jerusalem.
King Abdullah also agreed to continue to take affirmative steps to restore calm.
Every day, another beheading, another threat from ISIS. Its leader, Baghdadi, probably survived an attack by the United States. And the lander sitting on a comet has run out of power, so much as your cell phones.
I wish everybody that in a couple of years, maybe, we're still here talking about this fantastic mission.
We'll have the man who will recharge them in 30 seconds. These are some of the issues we'll touch upon this Sunday. Our panelists, Barbara Palrom, Defense News Bureau Chief in Israel. Hi, Barbara.
Hello, Jacob.
And Alon Pinkas, former advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Hi, Alon.
Hello, Jacob.
Well, we had this camp almost most of the week. We're first in Beijing, then in Brisbane. Leaders of the world together. Are we having a better, safer world today, Barbara?
Well, I would hope so. It's always nice to see the leaders in one setting and showing ostensible solidarity, but you know that the back text, the subtext of this whole thing was I think the Russian-American rivalry for the attention and the economic prominence in Asia. While Putin was sewing up some very hefty energy deals, Obama was demonstrating a very weak pivot to Asia. And I think on balance, the popularity and the close relationship growing closeness between Russia and China is something that we all need to keep our eye on.
Alon?
I disagree 100%.
Really?
Yeah. Putin has nothing to offer to China. Putin has nothing to export to Asia. The U.S. economy is doing very well. The U.S. dollar is very strong. U.S. businesses in Asia and Asian businesses, Chinese particularly, in America are doing relatively well. There is nothing in it for Asia in general and China in particular.
Isn't the United States in debt to China up its ears?
Sure, in a way. There are two ways of looking at that. One, that the Chinese government is the world's largest owner or possessor of U.S. government bonds. On the other hand, the Chinese economy is non-existent without the U.S. market. So the two are tied together, which bonds them rather than allows for any Russian intervention. The Russians have nothing to offer but gas and oil, whose prices are going down
anyway.
Nothing
but gas and oil. Trivial.
No. Not trivial at all. No, I agree. But at $85 a barrel of oil, the Chinese are capable of buying on the spot in Nigeria, in Libya, even in Venezuela, which is way, way, way far away, for even cheaper than...
But for the long term? And the strategic ties that come with oil and gas?
The long term, China is not afraid of the U.S. China should be apprehensive of what Mr. Putin has in store.
And there I agree with you.
Thank you.
Well, okay, let's try this then. We haven't spoken since the midterm elections. Now, 2 years to Obama at the White House. You mentioned weakness in Asia. We've talked about weakness at home before. We've talked about weakness in the Middle East. How weak is he going to go to?
We have to remember that the 114th Congress, Republican-led Congress that will be sworn in January, still doesn't have the 61 vote majority in the Senate. So they will be making it harder to, it will be easier for the Congress to block Obama on any initiative, but they will not be able to force Obama's hand. And we can think that the remaining term, the next 2+ years, as Obama himself said in a press release right after the election, that he will spend the next 2+ years in office doing the very best he can to make the American people safer and more prosperous. And maybe he's unencumbered. He'll feel more free to push through some initiatives.
And he tries a lot. He tries to push some of his issues.
I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, but if anyone thought he will become a lame duck president, as goes the cliche, Within 2 weeks, they've been proven wrong. And I emphasize, the onus is on Obama to prove that he's not. But thus far, on immigration and climate issues, he's shown that he's anything but a lame duck president. I'll tell you two things in short. One is Obama passed his signature Obamacare legislation before these elections. And I think it has to do with the fact that about a year and a half ago, he and or his advisors knew that the likelihood of losing the Senate to the Republicans is over 50%. So he needed to do this, and this is what is going to define, this is the issue that will define his presidency. The second, one last thing, foreign policy. The Middle East, pivot to Asia, call it what you want, is the one domain in which the president is by far stronger than Congress, even if Congress is controlled by the other party.
Middle East, this initiative by Kerry to bring together the Jordanian king and Netanyahu and bring some sort of calm to Jerusalem, was that a success?
Well, I don't know, time will tell, but he had to. And I think he should be commended for intervening, Secretary of State John Kerry. Between the Palestinian incessant incitement on the issue of Temple Mount, Haram al-Sharif, and Israeli right-wing politicians' incessant incendiary remarks and actions on that issue, both sides turned the issue of Jerusalem into a focal point that is a combination of nitro and glycerin.
Absolutely.
The U.S. had no choice but to try and mediate with the one ally that they have other interests in protecting, Jordan, in trying to diffuse the situation. Whether or not it's successful, who knows? So
far, it looks like a moderate success. Would you agree?
Well, this whole issue with Jerusalem, it is part and parcel of the very predictable and sad collapse of the Kerry-led talks in April. And we saw it. It started June 13th with the kidnapping of the 3 teens, and then it was fueled by Israel's very excessive military operation in the West Bank against Hamas, and Netanyahu's insightful remarks about blood revenge that led to the killing of this Palestinian American. And then, of course, it just segued into this war in Gaza, 50 days. And to get back to the issue of Jerusalem, maybe this will be finally the wake-up call that will once again allow both parties to agree to return to some type of process that will give Palestinians a diplomatic horizon.
That's a big maybe.
Huge.
But stand by. Let's talk to our correspondent in Beijing, and we'll get back to you guys to finish the issue of this big summit over there.
Good evening, Jacob.
Give us the Chinese angle.
Well, in China, everything is about the looks. So what the first thing they do is make sure that the sky is blue. They close factories, reduce number of cars on the street, close the schools, everything in order to ensure a blue sky here in Beijing. And the nickname of this conference is called APEC Blue. Now, Xi Jinping considers it a success. He managed to return all the focus back to China. It's the biggest event since 2008 Olympics. And he managed to talk about and actually sign an agreement about what he wanted to do the most, the free trade between Asia-Pacific countries. Now, Xi Jinping is considered, I think, after this summit, a bit more strong within his own country and a bit more flexible within the region. So for him, it's considered a success.
Now, we had the chewing gum incident and all of that, but still there was progress with climate change.
Yes, everybody loves the scandals. So President Obama, as the President of the United States of America, should know much better than to walk out on the red carpet in a huge ball, wearing Chinese outfit, chewing a gum. Come on, really. So, of course, the Chinese press pounced on it and regarded it as disrespectful. Now, except for those silly headlines, we should remember that the Chinese and the Americans sat down and signed an historic agreement. They managed, two of the biggest polluters of the world, signed that they're going to reduce their global emissions by year 2030. Now, some say it's far away, some say it's too little, but it's something. I couldn't believe China would sit down and sign that a few years ago.
And there's, of course, the incident with Putin and the blanket, if we go one by one, yes?
Well, in China, he's regarded as a very strong, handsome man. He did a chivalry thing. He took a blanket, he thought it was cold, he put it over the First Lady, and she accepted it really kindly, smiling, sat back down, but very smoothly and very quickly she removed it and put on a black coat. The Chinese press pounced on it and started saying that he's trying to flirt with her, or Xi Jinping is not paying enough attention to her. So what does China do? As China does, she removes it off the internet. She erases everything to do with the mention of the First Lady and Putin off the internet. Xi Jinping doesn't want anything to be taken away focus from what is the real essence of APEC for him. Now, if you ask me what I think, why did she take off the blanket? Well, she was wearing a gorgeous dress. Why ruin it with a beige blanket?
That's a very good point. Thank you, Nofrat in Beijing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacob.
Well, Barbara, a little normalcy after all of these big issues. It's not that bad, or is it?
I think it was a nice human touch, certainly a demonstration of chivalry from Mr. Putin. And if you remember, back for the funeral of Nelson Mandela, when Obama tried to he did the selfie with the Scandinavian head of state, and Michelle got very bent out of shape about that. It's a good thing that Putin got the coverage this time.
Oh, yeah, and the chewing gum. What about that?
Well, look, a few years ago, George W. Bush was winking at the Queen of England, at Elizabeth II, and everyone said, oh, if he wasn't such a limited politician with limited world scope from Texas, he would not have done it. And everyone thought it was funny. There's nothing wrong with Obama chewing gum.
Oh, manners.
Manners. Okay, manners. It's look. It's nicotine gum. It's the same gum. It's nicotine gum. You got to be understanding.
I got it. It's nicotine gum.
It's nicotine gum.
See, you get smarter here. Alon, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Barbara, see you next week.
Pleasure.
On our tech segment this week, are we finally going to see batteries with longer life on our mobile devices? With us is Alan Weisletter from StoreDot, an Israeli startup that might have the answer. Hi, Alan.
Thank you for having me.
Now, first of all, what is the problem with batteries? Why are we running out of power all the time?
Well, we're running out of power because basically the phones we're using get smarter and smarter. The applications we use get better and better. We use them more and more often, and the result is that battery technology is not being able to catch up with the consumption of energy, and we run out of battery, unfortunately.
So we can't catch up with this?
Well, the battery companies have been trying to close that gap ever since. But the applications and the phones keep progressing far quicker than the battery technology has been progressing over the last 10, 15 years.
All right, the solution now. You are using what, nanotech?
Yeah, it's nanotechnology. It's nanotechnology that originated as these things happen. StoreDot started because of a research done with regards to the Alzheimer's disease, and later it was identified that the molecules that were involved in that research could actually have very peculiar characteristics with regards to charge trapping. But things evolved over time, and today the relationship with what the materials we're using today and that initial technology there's more differences than there's similarities. However, it started there. Today, we kept optimizing these materials, and today we're working with organic materials that we synthesize at our labs, and that we use them in addition to other inorganic materials. So it's not like it's only organic materials, but it's a combination of organic materials and inorganic materials, new materials with very, very, very with the capability to charge extremely fast and yet discharge slowly like the phone battery needs to discharge.
All right, so bottom line, how long will it take us to recharge the phone?
It will take you less than a minute. Our target time is 30 seconds. It depends on the amount of energy that we can get out of the wall. It will take you between 30 seconds and a minute.
And what will that happen when?
We're working on that because there's a trade-off between the speed at which you can charge and the amount of energy that you can get in the battery. In January, in CES in Las Vegas, the Consumer Electronics Show, we're going to be demonstrating a battery that has about 1/3 of the energy that you have in a regular cell phone battery, but charges in about a minute. Our goal is to reach the same capacity as a regular cell phone battery, but from our conversations with smartphone manufacturers, we understand that even if we get to half the battery and it charges in less than a minute, there's a huge market, huge demand for that product.
Yeah, probably. So thank you very much, Alan, and good luck.
Thank you.
And this has been The World This Week. We'll see you here next Sunday. Recharge your batteries. Have a great week.